We have to accept the authority of the Supreme Court. We have to accept the fact that this is a sovereign nation with borders.
When it comes through the courts, it comes down through fiat.
Yeah.
And therefore, it's not a shock absorber. It shocks the system.
They will not necessarily respond to the mandates of the courts.
There's no unity anywhere in the country today, and I think it's a product of the vitriol in politics.
When something so horrible is happening, you would hope that there would be men and women of virtue who stand up and say, this is ridiculous, this can't go on.
But let's be clear why. Go.
Nothing to speak, right? Are you allowed to speak and give your opinion?
I raise my hand.
Okay, good. Good, smart guy. Welcome to Wise Guys, where we have a discussion about things going on in our country, things we care about. We try to take it a little deeper. Let's try to do that today. I don't think we'll have much trouble with this great panel. First, Judge Jeanine Pirro. She's was a district attorney, a judge. She is the author of the #1 New York Times bestseller, Liars, Leakers, and Liberals, and host of Justice with Judge Jeanine, Saturdays at 9 p.m. Great to have you. Thank you. Molly Hemingway, senior editor of The Federalist and Fox News contributor. Molly. Charles Hurt. Charles is opinion editor and a columnist for The Washington Times and a Fox News contributor. Ari Fleischer, former White House press secretary and president of Fleischer Communications. Welcome all. Let's have a discussion. Brett Kavanaugh, is it over? He's confirmed, but I don't think it's over. Let's talk about that. I mean, let's talk about where we are in the country politically, in terms of the parties. We can talk about the culture. Seems to me this was a big event. One of the things that was said by a lot of people, maybe even some of us, is that during this process, this confirmation process, we hit a new low. The personal and the political, that things got so personal, so nasty. Did it? I was there and watched during Bork. I watched Clarence Thomas. Wasn't this just continuous with that? Yes, no?
I think it was a new low. I mean, when you look at the fact that 5 people made accusations of a sexual nature against Brett Kavanaugh, and then the media put them all on the air unfiltered, and we already know that several of them just fell apart on their own. That's a new low, because it's one thing to antagonize and get into a fight with people about policy, about the Constitution, about abortion. But when you make it about a man being a rapist, yeah, that's a new low.
Yeah, and previously, I agree with you. Previously, it may have been about too conservative a philosophy or maybe sexual harassment or inappropriate comments. This
was about Clarence Thomas.
Right. Or Bork being too conservative,
right.
All right? This was about accusations that would land anyone in jail for 25 years, and that is a new low. And in the end, I mean, he's going to have to live with that.
And I think it was also a new low in terms of the tribalism that we see in play. You expect people to be part of a political party, but when something so horrible is happening, you would hope that there would be men and women of virtue who stand up and say, this is ridiculous, this can't go on. And so that was worse than we saw in the Clarence Thomas hearings.
I have to say that when I look across the aisle of the Democratic Party, I could not find a single person that I thought was being anything other than fundamentally unfair and often incredibly dishonest.
Okay.
Obviously, Donald Trump won this fight. Brett Kavanaugh's on the court. But the other person I think came out a winner is Chuck Schumer, because going back to those Bush nominees, Chuck Schumer made a concerted effort to turn the judiciary into a new ideological battlefield. And he succeeded at doing that. And that's what we saw. We saw an ideological, political fight over a nominee that's not over a position that's not supposed to be ideological.
Odd victory, Pyrrhic victory. I had this thought. I just wonder if any of you comment on it, because I've been thinking about it a lot. And that is when the first two we're talking about, Bob Bork and Clarence Thomas. Clarence Thomas, of course, ascends to the court and sits on the court. Bob Bork, he was offered teaching positions at different law schools. Not so with Kavanaugh, right? He's not invited back to Harvard Law School to teach. That Yale faculty, which when he was announced praised him,
Oh, absolutely. And I think it had so much to do with why public sentiment was not elated with what they were witnessing with this character assassination. The people kept saying, this is just a job interview. This is something. And of course, you want to make sure you do a thorough job interview. When what was really happening was a man's entire life and reputation and name and honor were being destroyed in front of his wife and children. And I think that's also why you saw a lot of women react negatively to this, because we care and love the men, we care about and love the men in our lives, and we put a lot of effort into relationships, and to see how quickly that could be destroyed by people who weren't thinking through whether what they were doing was ethical was appalling.
You know, Molly, you said something earlier about people of virtue, and this was a moment that tested people of virtue and how they act. And one of the biggest disappointments I saw here, which was a moment where virtue should have taken place, was Dianne Feinstein and her handling of the initial claim. Because put aside for a second whether she should have released it earlier or she held it later to spring it as a last-minute political surprise. The virtuous thing to do would have been to say, this is a serious allegation. It's a test of the United States Senate. It's also a woman who wants privacy. I must, from a moral point of view, figure out a way inside the Senate to deal with this letter privately and immediately. And she didn't do that. And whether she didn't do it because she was seeking political gain later or not, to me, is the virtue issue. The right moral thing to do would have been to act it immediately upon receipt of that letter.
And, you know, there was such a simple way. She didn't have to recreate the wheel here. There was a process to deal with issues like the Christine Blasey Ford's issues. You know, they could have done it quietly. They could have done it behind the scenes. This isn't something that they haven't dealt with before.